Hi, everyone. Welcome to Shifting Perspectives, the Baja Beach Wellness Diaries podcast. I am Wendy, your host. Today, we are exploring the spiritual side of wellness, how intuition, tarot, channeling can help us navigate life with more clarity and confidence. Our guest today is Carol from Soul Insightful Psychic Services. Woo! Carol is a psychic medium, channeler, and tarot reader who specializes in guiding people through life's challenges by blending spiritual wisdom with practical insight. We are so excited that Carol is here. In this episode, we are going to talk about how tarot really works, the power of connecting with spiritual guidance, and how practices like these can support personal growth and healing. Carol, welcome.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here. I'm so excited to be with you ladies. That sounded like a lot.
Yeah, well, you do a lot.
I'm excited.
Great. So, Carol, start by just telling us about your journey, how you became a psychic medium, channeler, and tarot reader.
Well, I'm going to try to keep this succinct because it was quite a long journey in getting here and not one that I expected at all. I was actually preparing for a career in another pathway, and 2017, I began to have awareness that there was a consciousness that was trying to connect with me. Didn't get raised with any kind of religious background, never spiritual, wasn't even 100% sure that I really believed in God. I mean, I knew there was something greater, right? But I kept getting like this tap on the shoulder. And I started to have very spiritual experiences. And at first, quite honestly, I kind of thought I was losing my mind. And in a way I was. That's a lot of what a spiritual journey is, getting out of the mind, and into, a more feeling or sensory experience. Spirit just stepped in right there to tell me because I was looking for the words and I couldn't reach them. So I went through this awakening, and for a couple of years, and it's not all rainbows and butterflies, what you would think a spiritual awakening is. It's actually kind of grueling. And I started to get this nudge to explore tarot and, connect with my guides and receive psychic messages and things like that. And then they said, so what we would like you to do is, that path you've been working towards now for years. Yeah, never mind that. We want you to get on YouTube and we want you to do readings. And I'm like, no, thank you. A hard pass. And it didn't take very long, a couple of months, until I got on board, and I was like, okay, let's do it, right? And here I am 6 years later.
Okay.
And it is my full-time gig.
Wow. So how does that work? Like with the YouTube,
Well, honestly, I was only on YouTube for a couple of years. It was not my cup of tea. What it did is, I earned my chops, is what I just heard Spirit say, and that's true. It gave me a place to learn, to grow more, to develop my own abilities. It wasn't long before people were reaching out to me and requesting personal readings. So, it was kind of like my practice run. But what I found was I preferred working one-on-one with individuals. I am a bit of a deep diver, and I know all of you ladies know that. And I found it much more fulfilling working one-on-one with people rather than just, basically following some of the same energy over and over on YouTube for collectives.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, for listeners who may be new to this, how would you, describe to somebody, I was one of them. I'm a total newbie to, tarot reading, how all of that works, can you describe exactly what that is and what that does?
Well, the tarot is actually a tool to bring forward messages. rather than actually giving you the messages. Now, there are some people that simply interpret the cards, and they may not necessarily be connected psychically in the way you would think, or understand that a psychic would be connected, right? And when I actually started, my psychic gifts were still growing and elevating. So I was more interpreting the messages in the cards, excuse me. But as my abilities grew and expanded, and I started like my clear senses, which clear cognizance, clear knowing, clear audience, clear hearing, clairvoyance, clear seeing, clear sentience, clear feeling. Those are the psychic abilities that I work with. So there are some readings anymore where I don't even, or I hardly use the deck because I'm just receiving from spirit. But it's funny because each card has a specific meaning, so to speak. But as you get more adept in your psychic gifts or utilizing your psychic gifts, right? Like I can look at the same card and get 7 different messages from it in 7 different readings. But it is simply a tool.
What about channeling?
Well, channeling, psychic abilities are technically part of part of channeling, right? Like my clairaudience, I have the ability to hear spirit. So spirit will say specific things to me and I will hear it and relay it. Now, channeling is more when, like, a higher intelligence, like my guides, right, come through me and, actually spit out, something, phrases, a paragraph. I don't channel for long periods of time personally, but in a reading, they will often come through. And many of my regular clients will say, you were just channeling that. When I begin to actually channel, my voice tone changes and it comes through as very matter of fact. And oftentimes when I'm done receiving a channel, I will have to stop for a minute and repeat it. Because I'm actually, I don't process it as it's coming through.
So I know that, we've all experienced readings with you. Do any of you want to talk a little bit about your experience with readings with Carol? Buckle up. Well, I talked about it in the last podcast, and I think even a podcast prior to this, but I think I've been going to Carol for about 3 years now, which Amy encouraged me and gave me your name. And yeah, I'm speechless because I'm just thinking back to where we started to where we're at, and everything that has transpired. And a lot of the messages that you gave me, I think that's how you say it, right? Like that you gave me, came to fruition. And because of you, I'm in therapy.
I won. Yay. Finally.
I know that was quite the battle. So I owe a lot to you in that sense. And I think about you a lot in that way because you did save me emotionally, mentally, and physically in many ways. So
oh my God, I'm getting
emotional. And we I've cried I don't like to cry.
Oh, I know.
And I've fought that with you many a times. And, you're so down to earth and you're so, easy to talk to, and I've always said, my gosh, Carol, can you just snuggle with me and pet me and tell me everything's going to be okay? Like you just have that warm and fuzzy about you. But yeah, I owe a lot to you of just this spiritual I don't know if it's a spiritual awakening that I'm going through, but yeah, I thought it was going to be a fun ride, and it's really it's not. It's
it's that meme with the girl in the teacup going,
yeah.
relate to that.
Or like the kid in the zip line, the video that I showed.
Oh,
you.
yes.
It's like, oh, this is so great. I'm scared. But yes, I mean, I owe a lot to you. I've even got my fiance. My fiance is a lucky man because he has a standing appointment with Carol every month. I don't know what he's doing, what tricks. But Brent's closer to Carol than I think any of us are. But anyways, no, but you've done wonders for him and even my mom. So, I think also one of the biggest things that was very instrumental to me is losing my stepdad about a year ago. And just guiding me through that with the before, the during, and the after. And you explaining to me how that process works. It was comforting exactly when I needed it. So, yeah. I can't say enough about her. I mean, I could keep going on, but, so. Yeah.
I'm humbled and deeply touched. I really am. Mm-hmm. I just want to mention, as you were talking, I heard two things. You are my sunshine, my only sunshine, ray of sunshine. Yeah. Oh. And of course, I started to hear Wind Beneath My Wings.
You always.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to sing. I can't sing worth a shit. My apologies.
We love when you sing.
I channel a lot of music. So songs come through.
Well, it's funny because, You Are My Sunshine is the song that I sang to my kids, of course, like every mom does. But when they would go down for a nap. But now, like when my kids, get a little cranky and it's like, maybe you need a nap and they're 14 and 16 years old, I start, you are my sunshine. And they're like, stop it, Mom.
He sees that. He sees that. Mm-hmm. That's why that came through. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Mm-hmm. See, look at that. Live action cam.
Yeah, there we go.
I think it's so cool because the first time we met, and I've always been a big believer in psychic abilities, and but I was the last to meet you out of the group. And when you first came in, you immediately started, I guess, channeling this song, Only the Good Die Young by Billy Joel, which, I mean, it's 2025. I love the song, but nobody else would have known that I had that song on repeat for like a week and just listened to it. It's like out of all the songs in the world. And, you told me that like you have that moment sometimes with people that spirit just gives you that validation that nobody else would know this. And just so you know, not that I needed that much convincing, I really didn't, but I really believed already. But to hear that, I was just immediately like blown out of my chair. It was insane.
So. I love that. I had completely forgotten about that. Usually like, I have a lot of clients say, well, do you remember? And what I received, like, it doesn't stick with me. It kind of comes in and it goes out, but I remember that. That was awesome. And what I call those things are showstoppers. Like spirit will almost always come forward in a reading with something that really grabs the person's attention, validates, confirms, oh my God, nobody else in the world could possibly know this. Or like with a deceased loved one, when I'm doing mediumship readings, they'll come forward with something that makes it abundantly clear to the client that I am connecting with their loved one. And that's what evidential mediumship is all about. So am I going to tell you your deceased loved one loves you and is still with you and misses you 100%? But I'm also going to give you things that are deeply meaningful and that I would have no way of knowing.
Mm-hmm. I remember when my mom first went to you, she was skeptical.
Oh, yeah.
Very skeptical at Kim. And, yes. And she's been to you a handful of times. But you pulled a song out. I don't even know what it was, but it was, an album or a song, from her deceased brother. That nobody, I mean, he's been deceased for, I believe, oh my gosh, like over 30 years. So it's just interesting how you grabbed my mom and flipped her mindset, because now, when I'm going through challenges, she's like, well, have you talked to Carol? Carol said, well, maybe you need to go to Carol. I'm like, wait a second.
I think it was Jim Croce
That sounds
if I'm not mistaken.
something like that. Yeah.
I know he came through. Yeah, I think that was it.
Yeah. But that's great that happens, because there are skeptical people out there.
Oh, yes.
You know.
Yes.
And you say the more skeptic somebody is, it can be more challenging to read for them. Is that correct?
Absolutely. Well, when you think about it, skepticism. So I have a client come that's really skeptical about, my abilities or psychic abilities in general. So there's an energetic imprint to that. They have up a wall, so it's almost like prove to me. So that creates energetic resistance in the flow. And what any psychic is connecting with, and I'm sorry, I talk with my hands all the time. What any psychic is connecting with is energy. That's what we're reading. That's the way the messages are coming through. So if you are introducing resistance, right, it's going to make it more challenging to have a quality reading that flows. Now I've never had somebody though that I couldn't get through, just makes my work harder and can kind of, how do I say this, Spirit? Okay. The messages won't flow as easily. Right. And it's funny. Sometimes when I get stuck and I'm trying to articulate something, that's when Spirit will literally come through and put the words in my mouth that I'm having a hard time reaching for, so to speak. So that's some of what you're seeing going on here today.
So in your view, how can spiritual practices like tarot and mediumships help people navigate their life's challenges? Like, what do they take away from
life's challenges, Carol? Carol, I just have to interject
mine. Go ahead.
So how long have we been seeing each other? Like 5 years?
I was just going to say, probably right after I launched it.
Yeah.
It wasn't long.
Yeah. And we kind of navigated some of my relationships and the craziness to come with those and the showstopper moments. And I know we're both thinking of the same thing.
Oh my God, that was insane.
And I feel like everybody cries in your apartment.
They pretty much do. Yeah. A lot of tears are shed. But, that's part of the reason for psychic readings. It is a emotional, mental, even spiritual release, physical. And not only that, a lot of the tears come from a place of being seen, being understood, joy, gratitude, connection. Like even just when I'm connecting with Spirit, through meditation, sometimes I will just start crying. And it's just that feeling connected, right, to Spirit, to the infinite. And it brings up those kind of emotional experiences.
And I think like realization too, because
yes,
I went through such a period where like you just kept hitting me with whammies and we were both like, it was like a nonstop. It was, you and I have weathered some crazy storms in my life and you helped me weather them. And I really appreciate that. And I got through some tough times in my life because of you.
Oh my God, I'm going to get emotional again. Wow. Yeah. Well, the interesting thing is, and this is one thing I absolutely love about what I do, it's not a one-way street. The amount of clarity, insight, healing, and release that I even get through reading with other people, like I can't even describe. Oftentimes, I will be face to face with a client who is maybe struggling with something I'm struggling with at the time, and they have no idea. So the guidance I'm bringing forward to them, applicable to me, and when I really started to notice that, I was like, wow, what a beautiful gift this is. And not only that, sometimes people come to me like, I've been sober now for over a decade. I struggled with addiction for the vast majority of my life. And when I get a client that is struggling with the same, and I'm basically, bringing forward messages and sharing my wisdom, right? It helps me realize like how far I've come, right? Mm-hmm. So there are so many rewards, across the board. Everybody wins in these kind of exchanges. And that's what I absolutely love.
For the audience, some may be skeptic about what you do based off of their religious beliefs. I know that I get questioned, well, you're a woman of faith, and you go to a spiritual reader. Isn't that taboo? And my response to that is, for me personally, I feel as though God and my spirit is sending me messages through you to me, and sometimes because of all the noise that we have in our lives, I feel I can't connect with God as good as I can, or a higher power. What do you say to people that may have asked you, or to the audience that may be intrigued by what you do and would want to seek your services, but are conflicted about their personal religious beliefs?
Well, I had a feeling this was going to come up. I really did. And I want to be, sensitive about what I'm going to say. I have read with Hindus, Buddhists, Muslims, Christians, Catholics. I've read with people from all different kinds of religious backgrounds. And yes, many religions say, no divination, don't connect with oracles and things like that. I am not here to judge or change anybody's beliefs, right? But what I am here to say is, one thing you might want to question about, a religion that has a set of rules, why would they want you to be kind of disconnected from your own intuition or the ability to connect with people who have God-given gifts, right? God-given gifts to bring forward messages. Religion has a tendency to be a structure or set of rules, and you can only come to God through this figurehead. You can only come to God through this set of rules and this set of regulations. And if you try to come to God in any other way, you're doing it wrong and you will be damned. Really? Right? So, you can you can probably tell just by the way I'm speaking that I have some pretty strong feelings about these things.
Yeah. You have a tone.
Well, and this is the thing. We are always inherently connected with God, spirit, universe, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. I refer to it as spirit, right? Pure white divine light, right? And I'm very skeptical myself of any set of rules or regulations that tell me I'm not connected directly, or I can't, connect in a way that I feel is conducive to my spiritual well-being, right? So, it's like their skepticism is now meeting mine, right? But, I just encourage people to reflect on this. This is not going to be for everybody, and that's okay, right? And it's interesting. I didn't choose to do this. Well, I mean, ultimately I did, I was called to do this by spirit, um, how much more pure is that, right? So you got to kind of think of those things. And I'm not saying religion is bad. I'm not saying that, but, like anything else, there are dysfunctional aspects of, earthly institutions and structures. That's literally what I'm hearing, So
I think too, it's like, because I grew up in a very, very religious household that was Catholic, all the way, doesn't believe in any of this at all. Just my opinion, I feel like we're all like it's all the same thing. It's all God. It's all spirit. It's all the same. We're all, you just rattled off a Hindu, all these, it's all the same. It's all the same. Like I'll even hear, parts of, oh, I saw this sign or something in a religious, and it's like, you're saying the same, I'm seeing the same kind of signs. It's all from God. So it's just that, there's a lot of division.
Mm-hmm.
Creator is creator, no matter the label, is quite honestly what I just heard, So absolutely. And you're right, unfortunately, and this is something, and it may not seem like it right now, that we are working to change in this physical world, earthly reality. Separation consciousness is the order of the day, here. But that's shifting for many. More and more people are awakening, going through spiritual awakenings, starting to question things. That's part of the reason all of the separation you see is really loud right now. So it's like, working up to a crescendo. Yeah. So, but that's, and spirituality, say that again, Spirit? Okay. Spirituality is your connection with spirit. It, and it does not separate you from source, other, or anything else. But institutions like, religion, yes, there is a lot of separation. Well, you're Catholic. You can't marry anybody that's not Catholic, So spirit wants to make that, that point, and I'm just going to leave that there.
This might be our most controversial.
I was just going to say, and I'm not, I'm not here to do that. I'm not here to judge anything. I'm just bring forward higher perspectives, and people can do with them what they like, and I mean, by nature of what I do, I know I'm controversial, and that's okay.
You'd be boring if you weren't. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm a Sagittarius too, so there's that.
Controversial Carol.
Oh God. And I actually try to avoid that because I don't like drama, conflict, and stuff like that. I try to keep that stuff out of my life, because it interferes with what I'm really here to do. But let me just say, critical thinking, the ability to think critically. Oh yeah, what came up?
We've been using this word a lot.
Yeah, we have.
So. Well, and it's funny, I actually jotted down a few things. Critical thinking is the ability to analyze information, evaluate evidence, and form sound judgments. And this goes hand in hand with discernment, which is the ability to make good judgments. Well, intuition, your own psychic connection, works hand in hand, works in tandem with those two things, because your intuition will let you know, hey, there's more you need to know here, or maybe you're not seeing something, or maybe there's something else you need to look at. And it also helps you evaluate information so you can make sound judgments. And let me tell you, if there are 3 skills you can get as we move forward in this age of Aquarius, right? Those are the 3 you want: critical thinking, discernment, and intuition. The more you are connected with intuition, the easier those other 2 will be. They will all develop together, so to speak. Boy, I'm on a soapbox today.
That's all right. I think too, the more you awaken spiritually, at least I know it's been in my experience, it's almost like you're repelled by drama, by controversy. Like you're literally physically repelled by it. And it's pretty cool because you're like, wow, I really don't want anything to do with this. It's very interesting.
Well, there are some people that are, awakened and serve in roles of, spiritual leadership, I guess you would want to call it. And I don't mean that from an egoic place, but that are leaders that are testing boundaries, and, they're kind of called into the controversy. And I'm so freaking grateful for them, because I don't want any parts of that. I really don't. Like, they literally live in a Thanksgiving dinner scenario where everybody's fighting about politics and religion. Like, they live that every day because they are the ones that were called to challenge beliefs, to stir the pot, and I know quite a few of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm grateful for them, but that's not a role that I'm called for.
Yeah. So what do you find that people are typically coming to you for guidance for? What do you hear the most that people are looking for from you?
I know what you're gonna say.
Well, it's interesting. Okay, I just heard no stone unturned, and that is so true. People will come to me from anything to the micro. Okay, I'm going on a date tonight. Which outfit should I wear?
Oh wow.
Yeah, well, yeah. That's more when I'm working on the hotline. By the way, I subcontract for a 30, I can't say the name, I'm contractually bound, but I subcontract for a psychic network or hotline that's been around for 30 years. You probably see their advertisements and things like that. So that's what I'm talking about. The hotline tends to be a little bit of a different flavor than the personal readings I do. Not always, but so what outfit should I wear? Do you think he'll like my hair better up or down? Things like that. Which I gotta be honest with you. I sometimes get annoyed with things like that. It's not, I'm getting annoyed with the client. I'm never annoyed with my clients, but I get annoyed with things like that because I am such a deep diver. It's hard for me to do that. But love and relationships is probably the biggest. And I say that meaning friendships, coworkers, bosses, family members, the whole gamut of relationships. That seems to be where people are struggling the most. And I think a lot of that has to do with the vast majority of adults on this planet are pretty much walking around with wounded inner children. So you're really not having connections in many cases with adults, right? It's a bunch of wounded inner children banging into each other, so to speak. So that's why relationships can be so challenging, and no judgment. Let me tell you, nobody had a more broken inner child than me, right? But I recognize that and I did the work to heal it. And that's probably one of the, Spirit just said, one of the biggest collective suggestions we can offer, right? Heal your inner child, your wounds and stuff like that. But I get a lot of love. I get a lot of spiritual, a lot of work related things. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, right? That run their own show. So there's pretty much nothing I haven't read on at this point. And then of course, mediumship, connecting with deceased loved ones.
I have a question on that actually
Oh,
that
dear
I've been
Lord.
brewing over. So I have never, I loved my grandparents dearly, but like they never show up. Do people just not show up who are deceased just because they're like, she's good, we're good? Like, how's that whole thing work? Because I find that interesting that I've never really, no matter what, if I've gone to a medium, like they don't ever pop in to say hi. They're like,
Interesting. I'm just
specifically Esther.
well, and it's funny. I'm kind of receiving an energy like maybe they were kind of a little tight-lipped. I don't. It's hard for me to connect. Yeah, Spirit said don't even go there right now, and they're right because it's going to distract me. Now, intention speaks for a lot. So if you have the intention in a reading, I would like to connect with them. Even make your psychic aware of that that intention, because just psychic readings, at least for me, and every psychic works differently. Like the psychic reading part and the mediumship part kind of requires something different of me energetically. If somebody's not directly asking for it, right? So, give me a heads up, Esther. I'm going to have to note to self for December.
I just wonder like how they're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your loved ones are always at peace. That's literally what Spirit just said. Your loved ones are always at peace. There is absolutely zero need to worry about them, right? And quite honestly, they don't, it's so hard because deceased loved ones, they don't have a mind anymore. So they don't have the mental and emotional experiences that we have, right? So they don't even really necessarily have concern for their human beings that are left behind because they understand now from a spiritual perspective what this is all about, that they'll navigate their way through it, that what's meant to happen is going to happen. However, are they ever delighted in our suffering? Absolutely not, but they, yet again, they understand that suffering is part of, or pain of, this human experience. Are you okay? Okay. You are my sunshine. They're never, they don't go anywhere. This is another thing I'll say too. It's funny. I walk in a cemetery almost every day, and I don't do that because I'm psychic. I just do that because I live in the city, and it is the closest thing I can get to a nature setting in walking distance from my house. And, one time I've encountered a spiritual energy in that cemetery. And one time only. Our loved ones are literally right next to us, they are always with us. You're not going to find them there. You're going to find them sitting around. Yeah, spiritual. Yes, spiritual bumps. And that's confirmation. When you receive that, that is confirmation that what I am saying is true, right? They're always with us. They haven't gone anywhere where they are just
on a different plane,
a different frequency.
That's
literally what I was just going to say. They are still there. There's just a frequential, I can never say that word, frequential difference between the human existence and the spiritual existence.
So I have a question.
I'm okay.
Are you okay?
Yeah,
Are you going to make it?
Yeah, I'm good.
So, spirit guides, angels, and then you have your loved ones. Like, who's up there, like, watching you going, like biting their nails? Like, how's that all work up there?
Like, what is she gonna do today?
Yeah.
It's so funny.
Let's tune in to what is she doing now?
It's like sometimes I feel like my spirit guides are like at the bar shooting whiskey. What the fuck is
I always say that. When
it's gonna be a good show.
I always say that when I finally go to bed at night, I'm like, they're all like, oh, thank God, she'll be asleep for 8 hours now. And then they meet up at the bar and they're like, can you believe that shit she said earlier? And she could have handled that better, They're, well, and it's fun to kind of relate to them in that way. They like that, I've found that, whoever I'm connecting with at the time, and you're right, I have spirit guides, I have angels, I have star family, I have elevated ancestors, ascended masters, whoever is needed at that time or for the client I'm working with will come through. They don't really do that, they don't judge us. There's never, and this is probably where I'm going to butt head with religion, but whatever. We are never judged. We do enough of that ourselves, to ourselves and to each other. It's not that at all. They are always with us, watching, trying to nudge us in the right direction, trying to help us see ourselves and each other through their eyes. Did you hear what just happened there? That was channel, they want us to, elevate, to ascend, to be the best versions of ourselves, but they never judge us. There's never anything but just pure unconditional love coming down from above. Now, my guides can be hard asses sometimes, when they need to be, when I need them to be. Sometimes guidance will come across a little bit, I don't want to say harsh, but matter of fact, because they're trying to, like, wake us up, right? Wake up, see this for what it is. And I'm going to be honest with you. I do not have all the answers about what goes on up there, or, how everybody's guides and angels work. They all work differently. It is my understanding that before we're even birthed, we are assigned one specific angel, if you want to call them that will walk with us through our entirety. But it's also my understanding that different people come in, or I say people, different beings, right? Or energies come in as we need them. You know, depending on what's going on. If I'm going through heartbreak, it might be a different guide than if I'm starting a new relationship, right? If I'm struggling with something with work, it might be a different guide than, somebody I'm struggling with, something inner child related or whatever, a wound. So.
And I feel like as far as connecting to, past loved ones, I mean, I will admit that I am not the kind of person, I don't talk to God. I don't say, God, please watch over my children. I will more say that I will talk to, my grandparents, please watch over my girls. And I don't know if that's an accurate thing to do or not. But that's what I feel. I feel that my, my grandparents, my husband's grandparents, watch over that, protect that, make sure they're okay. That's the talking that I do, that in my mind, I feel that they are watching over us, and watching over my girls.
I'm hearing this song, From a Distance by Bette Midler.
Mm-hmm.
God is watching us. Yeah. Well, and when you think about it, and what I was hearing when you were talking, your ancestors are extension of Source, right? So whoever you want to talk to that gets you closer to God, that brings you that comfort, right? Do it. Doesn't matter what the name is, what the label is. Yeah. And they do. They watch over us. One of the things worth mentioning, we live in a free will realm. So, okay, assistance is granted when requested, is literally what I just heard. You gotta ask for guidance, help, things like that, because with the whole free will thing, sometimes that doesn't, they can't interfere. Let me put it that way. So what you're doing is sets the acknowledgement, the intention, and that's all you need. Yeah.
Anybody have anything else for Carol today?
I'm tapped.
My
credit worked.
Well, I think Carol, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, I think Carol, if anybody wants to reach out to Carol, she's on the app.
Wellness Alliance
partner.
And I was going to say that how best way to connect with you.
Yes. Email me at soulinsightfultarot@gmail.com. So that's SOULINSIGHTFUL tarot, TAROT @gmail.com. I know it's a mouthful, but
good for you. I would never be able to spell all
yeah,
that.
They help.
So if you're, feeling that you want to explore your own path with Carol, that's how you can reach out. If you don't have the app, download the app. You gotta get the app. That's how
so many good Wellness Alliance.
The four of us encourage you to reach out to Carol.
Yes, absolutely,
So
absolutely.
We recommend it.
So thank you again, Carol, for being with us today. Thank you for tuning into Shifting Perspectives. Don't forget to subscribe, share the episode, talk to all your friends about us, and we will see you next time.
Bye. Thank you.